Hello, and welcome back to Laura's Plants. So, as you read from the title, the intention of this video was to first have a plan with me. And I will say, I started to film that, and due to circumstance, a stressful week, distracted mind, lots of different little things, my plan with me in my Stalogy kind of went south rather quickly. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up my Stalogy and kind of show you what ended up happening that both I like and I dislike about next week's plan. So let's go ahead and flip to the cover page for week 25. Now, looking at this now, it looks fine. But the reality is, when I sat down to plan with this, I had a very different plan in mind. Like, I had a very different set of things that I was going to do in this planner, in this notebook, to set up my week for a successful week. And right from the get-go, things started to go south. I laid down some paper that was meant to be a background, and it actually was not what I had intended for this page, and so I tried to lift it up, and I had not used my repositionable tape. I had used my permanent tape, and so I put a big rip into the page. And so I went ahead and patched it as best as I could and created a page that would be somewhat usable. It was about at that point that I was kind of frustrated, so I decided to go ahead and tip in my vellum and do those things, but it wasn't the vellum that I had chosen. Does it look bad? Absolutely not. It just was frustrating that I started off right away on the wrong foot. But I tried to make the best of it, and I got everything set up here for the first page, which is generally an inbox or a place for me to put sticky notes like I have here now. And it's just kind of a title page, right? So that's okay. I used some scraps of paper. I tried to make the best of it, but things didn't go well right from the get-go. And instead of getting better, they just kind of kept getting worse. And I did my best as I went through and set up my weekly plan to go ahead and make the best out of a bad situation, but things kept going from bad to worse. So I changed up my layout on my weekly snapshot, and to be honest with you, I don't mind how it looks, but I didn't really think about what I was doing when I was doing it. I was filming and I kind of wasn't paying attention. So like, my menu doesn't have enough lines in it. My notes section is very small. I made the boxes a little too big, and there's some discrepancies in it. But instead of worrying about the little minor imperfections, I went ahead and decided that's okay. I'll make it work. I added in some dots for aesthetic and things like that. And I kept filming. You know, I thought, oh, well, this will be good. You can see how I screw up and things will be all right. But then I hit this page, and once again, I grabbed the wrong tape runner. I grabbed the permanent tape runner versus the repositionable, started to lay down my daily routine page, realized it was totally off kilter, and started to pull it up and ripped it. So I had to print off a new one and also rip the page underneath. So once again, I'm like, okay, I can fix this. I laid down some vellum. I printed off a new daily routine page. I layered it, added in a few embellishments to try to make it look aesthetically pleasing, and also to cover up the big boo-boo that I had made. You know, yeah, sometimes the shit just keeps rolling. It's the only way I can say it. You know, it just, sometimes your head is just not in the game, and it just keeps rolling. And that was this week. Like, nothing was going well. And at the point that I ripped this page, I went ahead and shut off the camera because I realized I was too distracted in what I was saying and instead of focusing on what I was doing. So I thought shutting off the camera would be a good idea. And that would fix it, right? Well, no, it didn't. It just seems like my levels of distraction just kept getting greater and greater, and my levels of frustration started happening more and more. And I had initially intended this to be a tip-in for my food log because I'm really starting to focus in on some elements of my physical health that I need to with my IBS and my weight gain. I really need to really watch what I'm eating as well as trying to eat correctly to lose weight. And that's kind of hard when you have IBS and you're on a FODMAP diet and you're trying to do those things. So I'm utilizing my food log and the Weight Watchers program in conjunction to make that work and to make that happen. But not thinking about what I was doing, I started to lay these down with glue instead of tipping them in. And that was a mistake to begin with. I at least didn't try to do it with a tape runner. I did grab my, craft glue stick, but nothing was going right. And I couldn't get them in straight and I couldn't get the lines to match up. And I had, I tried to cut off the holes off the side, as I had printed it on A5 paper, and that's for my ring binder instead of this. So just problem after problem after problem. And I realized it wasn't the camera that was the problem, it was myself. So I did my best to go ahead and make this work. I needed to use a bunch of washi tape to keep the pages down. I had to do my best. And it's here. It's totally functional. It's totally usable. Do I like it? No, kind of like this page. It's totally functional. It doesn't look horrible, but I don't like it, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, it's all right. I can still do this. So I went to create my Doodle A Day page, which I do need. Anna from Anna's Plans made me laugh because she told me in a phone conversation that she wanted to tease me on Instagram for posting that I doodled during meetings. Well, there's a story behind that. I have lived in a virtual world for over 10 years now, and prior to the last few years, we really didn't have a lot of camera-based meetings, right? We didn't have Zoom meetings and Skype meetings and team meetings, all with camera functionality. Most of them were just meetings in which, you could be heard but not seen. And I have no freaking filter from what goes through my brain to what comes out of my mouth. And I realized very quickly that the strategy that I used to keep myself from saying the things I shouldn't so I don't get fired, wasn't going to work because I was on camera. You see, I used to use fireball candies, those little round candies that are really hot. When I would start to have the thoughts that I shouldn't say out loud, I would pop one of those in and it would keep me from opening my mouth, right? Because if you've ever put one of those candies in your mouth, you instantly start to salivate. They're hot. And so you kind of have to move them around, and then you get to a point where you just have to take it out of your mouth, right? So I would listen, I would be present in the meeting and all of that, but I could keep myself from saying things that shouldn't be said by using a fireball. Well, I can't really have the sugar, the fake cinnamon is not good for my stomach, and I'm on camera. I don't want to look like a little kid shoving candy in my mouth. And so I have created a strategy that when I'm in a meeting and I have those thoughts come in, I start to doodle. And the reason I do that is because when you're on camera from, the shoulders up, basically, you can be writing on a page or doodling on a page, and it looks like you're taking notes. It looks like you're attending, but really for me, it's a coping strategy. It allows me to de-stress with something I love doing, but it also keeps me from saying things, because I have taught myself that when I start to doodle and when I start to sketch in a doodle that I might come back and paint later, or if I grab a couple markers and create something out of it while the meeting is going on, I don't say those things that I shouldn't. So my Doodle A Day isn't so that I zone out in a meeting. It's so that I don't say things I shouldn't in a meeting. And yes, it seems ridiculous that as an adult I can't control that, but I know myself when my emotions run high or when I have something going on that I need to just listen, not react instantly, and be able to take it in and then respond appropriately. I need something like this to do. So my Doodle A Day pages, they came through. Well, I generally make those a 2-page spread because, I have meetings, and then on the weekend I like to do it for fun. I started tipping in and putting in paper at the wrong page, and I realized after I put it in what I had done, and I thought, okay, well, I can just take it out. Well, if you see the amount of tape that's going on over here, you can tell that I did try to take it out, but I started to rip the signature. And I'm like, okay, so that's not working. So I just put some more tape down, left it in, decided to just deal with a day, and that would be fine. And then I would move on to my dailies. And at this point, I knew that I didn't have it in me to create a time bar to do anything. So I put a title on it. I drew my one single line, and I'm just going to do bullet journal style dailies from here forward. These are very reminiscent. Actually, they're inspired by Ellie from Ellie's Corner. She does them, and I pull them out when I have really busy weeks where I really need to just kind of focus my mind and not worry about all the rest of the page. I tend to do these, and I know that coming up I was going to have a very busy week, not to mention the fact that I had such a hard time just even creating the 5 or 6 pages that I did in this notebook. So let's see, there's 2, there's 4, there's 6, there's 7. So 7 pages plus the top of a daily. This took me a couple hours to do, which shouldn't be the case. And it's because my mind was someplace else when I was doing it. But the stress level that I had in trying to complete this and make it look pretty and make it look like it does was too much. And to be honest with you, it made me really think that I'm focusing on all the wrong things. I'm focusing on the aesthetic and what stickers am I going to use and what paper and does it coordinate and blah, blah, blah. And I'm getting caught up in all the wrong things, because what this book does for me is it is a functional resource to help me map out my day, stay productive, and also it acts as a piece of self-care for myself, right? Because I can write down notes, I can notate emotional things, I can do a lot of things in here, but predominantly it's a functional tool that right now is causing stress. And I'm at the point with it that when I look at these pages, all I feel right now is the stress of what they caused. And so I'm not really sure that I'm going to use this book this week, because the stress level of looking at these pages and knowing what I went through just to get them to this point. Do they look okay? Yes. It's not the aesthetics, it's what happened in the creation of them, right? It raised my stress level, it raised my anxiety, it made me angry at points because of my own stupidity and my own distractedness. And so I think what I'm going to do is give myself the grace to say, you know what? Yeah, they're here. And if at some point during this week I feel like coming back in and using them, I will. But for right now, I think I'm just going to close up this book for this week, put my elastic around it, and store it right here at the back of my desk, which you all can't see, but I have the notebooks that I don't touch often. Like, you know, I have an art notebook back there and things like that. And maybe I'll show you my desk one day when it's not quite so messy. The other notebook that is always on my desk and always open is my A5 rings. And the reason it's here is this is, I call it my master planner, but really guys, this is my junk drawer, right? So we all have junk drawers where we have tools or little things that we keep because we need them at some point during the month, the year, the day, or whatever, but it doesn't really have a home. Well, that's kind of what this is. It is a very organized junk drawer, to be honest. I mean, it keeps a yearly record of what's going on in our lives. It keeps a yearly record of different aspects of our life, but it's kind of the catch-all for all the things that I don't want to have to transfer in and out of different notebooks. So it's the junk drawer. It's my junk drawer journal and planner. And it's always set up. It's always ready to go. So what I have is, I do have my monthly pages set up where I have a habit tracker and also like my chore tracker that I keep for each month. And then I also have this month on one page to utilize if I'm in this planner for like my moods and social media and things like that. I also have weekly setup, which I have shared my weekly planning system. And it's a little different because I'm honestly always planning a week ahead. So 2 weeks from the week that I'm on. So like right here, I have June 14th through 20th. That's this week. But last week, I went in and planned for June 21st through 27th, which is week 25, what we're moving into. And this week, I went in and planned for June 28th through July 4th. Now, these are rough plans, obviously. And I go in and will fill them in as we get closer to the week and more things show up. Like, I need to go in and update because on Wednesday, I had a new deadline. Wednesday of this week, I was given a new deadline that I need to have a project that I need to have completed and submitted to the client for review on this Friday. So I need to put that in there. And tomorrow morning, when I'm feeling a little bit better about everything and decide this is what I'm going to do, I will update this planner. So my weeklies are already set up, so really I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is come in and start updating what I need. The other thing that I always keep in here are blank dailies, because sometimes I just need a daily like this instead of the dailies that are in my Stalogy. These are very simplistic dailies. They have a time schedule, a priorities list, a checklist, and a notes section, and that's it. Don't really use them for anything other than like a pen and a dot marker or a highlighter. That's it. The thing I also keep in there is that food log. I always have a couple kind of in the back printed off. So I pulled one forward and put it next to what would be Monday. So I set this up so that if I do decide to let the Stalogy sit for this week, just to get over the frustration, and is that a waste of 7 pages? Yes. Is that the biggest waste of paper I've ever had in my life? Not by a long shot. So yeah, it's first world problems. I get it. I get it, guys. But Monday set up. I came in and I set up 7 days worth of dailies so that I can use them. Given what my week is going to look like both this week and next week, the simplicity of this is really calling to me, especially after what I went through setting up the week in my Stalogy. Not having to glue anything down, just a pen, a highlighter, and if I really feel like it, throwing in some stickers. That sounds pretty good to me. What it doesn't give me is that Doodle A Day page. It doesn't give me the journaling pages or the notes pages, but I do have ways around that as well. I have these note pages that are always in here that I can section off for a day if I want to do some journaling on it, but I probably won't. This is more for notes or whatever. And I always have my actual journal. Usually it's in its own cover, but the beauty of this Moterm is it's big enough that I can just pop this little guy right back here. I can slip it in if I want to, or I can just lay it in and I can close this up, clasp it, and it's all together. So I can still do my morning page journaling. I can still do my emotional journaling. I can even do my doodling in here if I want to. If I'm in a meeting and need that, I can use this to accomplish that task without worrying about having to set it up aesthetically. It's pages that I use. I don't worry about keeping this journal. There are things in my daily journaling pages that no other person should read. And I tend to either throw them away, destroy them, burn them, whatever, because I don't, this is just for me. This is no one else's to consume or read, and that's okay. So if there's something in there I need to keep at the end of the week, I can tear out the page and add it in, or I can just leave it there and throw it away when I'm done with this notebook. So I have that there to allow me to do what I would normally do in my Stalogy all in one. I have it here. The other thing that is nice is, like, I have my work section in here. So I have my meeting notes. I have my project outlines. I have my Kanban boards. I have everything in here that I need to function at work, and it's all just in one system. Then we get to my home section. So all of the things that I track in my Stalogy, like what chores I did, when I did them, all those things usually get updated in here as well. So I can just go through my meal planning. You know, it's already in here. The meals for like this week are in here, and tomorrow morning is Saturday morning. I would normally come in here anyway and plan out the meals for week 25. So I'm really not changing anything. I do need to put on my to-do list that I do need to print some more meal plans off, because I don't think I have any extra. So I'll print another one of those off, put that on my to-do list. And then, like, my cleaning stuff is here. Also, my finance tracker is here, so I don't need to worry about that. My lists that I touch regularly are in here, as well as lists that are more long-term that I need, and my personal information is in here, which right now I'm kind of having to call a bunch of doctors, and I'm having to do those things because my son's getting ready to go to college. So I'm touching this more and more. So I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated about what happened, and I think I'm going to use this just to kind of simplify things down and get myself back to a point where I feel like I can move back into my Stalogy and not worry about the aesthetics, not worry about all the different pages that I need. I can do what I need to do for this week in here and not really have to do a darn thing. Really, it was taking my Stalogy journal notebook out of its cover and just slipping it back here. That's it. And then writing a few days at the top of a daily page. That's all I had to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to simplify my life. The next 2 weeks are going to be really busy. and I need every ounce of extra time I have to focus on work and home and family. And so I am simplifying down into this one book. I call it one book. It's, one cover system, and it houses everything that I could need. And we'll see how it goes. So that's it. That is my plan with me, sort of. Maybe. That didn't happen on camera, but it definitely happened in life. And yeah, it caused a lot of stress. And the reality is, my planning system, my notebooks that I'm using, what I am doing are meant to assist me to relieve stress, to keep myself focused, to keep myself moving forward. And that experience was anything but this week. So I'm walking away from it. Doesn't mean I'm throwing away my Stalogy. Just means that for right now, this is going to be my focus, and this is where I'm going to be at, and I'm just going to use this right here. I can close it up. I can put my clean color dot liner into my pencil pouch. I have my favorite pens and my Apple pen and all that stuff in here. So all I have to do when I want to move to a different room is grab this, my iPad, my phone, and I'm good to go. That's it. I don't even take my pencil pouch. That stays pretty much on my desk. So there it is. That's going to be week 25 for me in my planning system. So have you guys ever had weeks like that? Have you guys ever had times where you just needed to set a notebook aside for a little bit because it is not serving the function that it needs to, or it's causing you to feel emotions that you don't want to feel when it comes to a planner? I mean, let's be real. There are things we should be worrying about, and it's not whether or not your planner is working for you. And yes, this is my hobby, and it's something I enjoy doing, but when it causes that amount of stress, I'm not sure that that's productive. So let me know, do you ever have moments like that? Have you ever walked away from a planner for a week or two just to give yourself a break from the pressure it's causing? I'd really like to know, because right now I'm kind of feeling like an island, and I don't want to. I'd rather be a continent of many different aspects of this world that we're in, this planning world that we're in, and knowing other people's stories. So leave a comment down below if you've been in this, and what did you do? What did you do to get yourself out of that place? So I'm going to go ahead and wish you all a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week to come. And I hope that your planner situations make you smile and make you happy. And I'm hoping mine do too. But for now, I just want to say thank you for listening to me rant. And I will see you next time.